Welcome to Camper Van Conversion in bite-sized chunks. If you happen to have come across this page through some random link, you might want to click on the link in the top right hand corner to take you back to the introduction to tell you a little bit more about these videos and how you can get the best out of them.
Okay, so if I'm looking 5 years older since the last time you were on this, looking at these video clips, it's because I've been putting windows in my van this weekend. If that's not true, I've been putting windows in my van for the last 2 weekends. 4 windows, 4 days, a couple of them quite long days. In fact, I had a day's prep as well. Bit of a battle, but got there in the end, and I'm hoping that when we get into the actual video diary itself, there'll be some tips there that will help you when you do yours. Basically, I'm sure you've done your research, but I did mine. 3 sorts of windows. There's the new modern bonded windows. That's the ones I wanted to put in my van, but I couldn't. There's the traditional rubber fit windows, which I did put in my van. And there's a Zeet window, which is really a brand made by Domestic, who do a lot of caravan and camping stuff, but they're sort of a Swiss system and become a sort of type of window in their own right. So let's have a look at them then. So this is the modern bonded type window. Now, very simple. You just cut a hole and you stick it on. That's the advantage of them. The second advantage, I think they look quite cool. Disadvantages. You can see the obscure rim of black glass going around the outside. Basically, that's obscure, so it hides a cut line and all the glue that's in there, which is great. But it just reduces the viewing area, or the actual window area. I've read on some forums, a couple of people had their windows fall off because it is only stuck on, but I'm sure it's just a case of them not doing the prep right. But the other thing is, and it was a killer for me, is the variety of window openings is much reduced in terms of the size you can get and also the type, and it stopped me actually putting them in. If you look around these vans, they've got the modern bonded windows. The actual openings are quite small. So that's the modern bonded window type. Then there's the traditional rubber fit window, and that's what we're looking at here. In fact, if you look at my van, the advantages of those are plenty of, you get a maximum viewing area, reasonably easy to buy. There's a lot of people that sell them, and you get good window openings on them. You get full sort of half window openings and that sort of thing. So that's why I decided to go in the end. You can get privacy glass, as I have done on my van there. Disadvantage, bit of a pig to fit. Christ, it was a pig to fit. But we've got there in the end, and so hopefully when we start looking at what I was doing there, there's some things that help you. And finally, there's the Zeet window. These are fantastic. You get a system, so you get your outer frame, your inner frame, you get a built-in mosquito net, you get blackouts. Disadvantage, really expensive, and also I think for small vans they look a bit clumsy, clunky. There's a lot of stuff for the window area. I think they're probably better suited for larger or caravans really, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, so that's 3 sorts. Now, as I said, I've got the traditional rubber fit window. As we get into the video diary, that's what's you're going to see there. But some of the things will be common, sort of preparing the van, and it's probably the one that you're going to need the best tips for. Anyway, let's have a look.
So the first thing I did was to make some templates that I was going to stick onto the van to draw around, to cut around, and I took those off the glass, and I had to do it about 7 or 8 mil bigger than the actual glass according to my instructions. Check your instructions. And but if I'm honest, actually I ended up opening up a bit in the corners because it was tough. It really was hard. So there's the 2 templates stuck on the back there. And now, a slight interjection for a cock-up confession time. The templates look good. They fit the profile of the van quite well. On the Renault Master, the panels, the inset panels are profiled. They're not flat like on other vehicles. So I use that sort of profiling to sort of judge the right position for those templates. They looked okay. And then started cutting. You'll see that in a minute. When I went to the inside to have a look, I was dangerously close to a double skin, and I should have actually repositioned them slightly differently. So, make sure you check on the inside as well as the outside before you start cutting. That could have been a nasty cock up. I got away with it, but that's what I would say, check the inside and the outside before you start cutting. I'm now just going to be doing the same on the side there. I'm drawing around the template that I've made for the side windows. On rubber fit windows on the van, you're going to get a very thick, hard rubber profiling seal. You put the first bit on the cut edge, and then you try and get your glass into that, and that's where your battle starts. You may hear people down the pub say what you want to do is use the string method, and you may see the string method on a YouTube video. Forget it, I tried it, it doesn't work. If it worked, I'm sure the instructions of the Windsor would tell you to do it, but the string method is okay on cars where you get smaller, very, very soft rubber profiling. Van profiling is, you'll see it in a minute, is a lot thicker. Okay, so here we go. Now going back now, I've drilled the hole to start the jigsaw blade cut, but when I cut this out, it's a useful thing to do is drill 4 holes so you don't actually cut the whole panel out in one go. You leave the bit on the corners on the radii there intact until you've cut everything else out. That way you haven't got a bit of sharp floppy metal flapping around where you're trying to finish a cut. You can just finish the last 4 bits out afterwards, and that was quite a useful bit there. Here we go. Oh, she's out. No, going back now. And you can see the 4 holes on the big one ready to cut out. Useful little tip there: put some duct tape on the van just outside the cut, because you're going to be rubbing the sole plate of your jigsaw along when you're making a cut, and you don't want to be scratching the paintwork. So that's what I did there. Put some duct tape all the way around. God, look at the sun shining off that silver van there. Wow. So this is the easy bit. The rubber profiling that goes on, and you'll see that in a minute, is a really thick, tough rubber. And as you get it round the radii in the corners, it really struggles to get in there, and you'll see in a minute how we put it on and sort of really got it in there. But I did end up opening up those corners very slightly in order to get them in. There we go. So we've got the panels out from the inside there. Put some rust inhibitor on that cut, and there's the rubber profile I was talking about going on there. As my dad putting it on. He made a little tool to bash that in to the corner. He's actually bashing in the groove where the glass will go, get it hard in there, and then we started putting the glass in. I used some suckers as a safety. And the profiling itself has got a groove that goes all the way round. You can just about see it there. And what you get is a second smaller profiling that fits into that groove, and that kind of squeezes it together, tensions everything up, and makes it really nice and tight. Now that groove needs to go on the outside. I was surprised. I thought it would be on the inside, but it wasn't clear on the instructions I got with my window, so I talked to the manufacturers. They said no, put it on the outside. You'll struggle, you'll find the profiling will tip and make it even harder to get the glass in if you put it on the inside. So yeah, so plenty of soapy water then, and if you can imagine, you've got a U-shaped profile that your glass is going to go in. You've got it on one side, and you've got to flip one of the legs of the U, if you like, round onto the other side of the glass, and that's the tough part. It's really, really tough. Plenty of soapy water, lots and lots of sort of bike lever action going on there, and you get a tool with the Windows ID, which was useful, but it was a millimetre by millimetre fight. And as I said, we did open up that hole more than the 8mm, particularly in the radii there, and you can do that, and it's not going to drop out. You'll see that when you do it. Seems like my dad's doing all the work here, doesn't it? Remarkable bloke. I mean, he was a great help in getting the ideas to do tricky little jobs, because he's been doing sort of these engineering projects all his life, and he knows his onions on that. And remarkable bloke. In fact, I bought him a bottle of whiskey after this, because it was a bit of a struggle. So they're pushing in, and clamps holding that top profile in up the top there, because it's getting off falling on his head. Suckers, suction suckers to hold the glass as a safety in case it fell out. And there we go. Then you'll get gunk with your windows, well I did, if not you can buy it, but you put that in under, between the van and the rubber profile, mucky stuff, and it takes ages to go off, which is good, but it's days, it's compliant for days, and it's always slightly compliant, so it's not going to crack when the van vibrates. Now that's that inner, that smaller profile I talked about. The tool I bought with the windows, and I'll tell you what, get that tool, it's 20 quid, which is a lot of money for what it is, but actually you won't do it without it. You can just see, you thread it through, and then you just give it a bit of wiggle as you go along, and that drops that smaller profile into the groove on the main profile, and that then squeezes the whole rubber together. You'll see in a minute, all that gunk I put in is going to come out now, and it's yeah, that tool is invaluable. It's interesting, the guy at the Leisure Van Windows, where I bought these from, he was almost embarrassed about that tool. He said this tool, he said it's 20 quid, we sell it at trade price, we don't make any markup on that because it's so expensive for what it is, but actually it's an excellent tool, because what it's doing is pushing, you see as I'm wiggling there, it's pushing the groove open, wide open, and at the same time threading the inner profiling into that groove, and it clips into place. And that, all the gunge squeezes out as you do it. You'll always put far too much gunge in than you need, but that's better that way than the other. There you go, wiggling all the way down there. God, it was such a relief. That was such an easy job compared to everything else. I mean, take it nice and slow, don't rush this stuff. But very satisfying doing that, because you just feel that profile sort of closing up, gripping the van, gripping the glass, or the frame on the big one, because you get a frame around it. And there we go. Silicone latex gloves, surgeon's gloves. Useful with that stuff, because it gets a bit everywhere. Goes round the corner there. There she goes, round the corner. Now you get obviously you're going to get a join in the main part of the profile, and what I did is I offset the join on that smaller part to be sort of about 25mm difference, so that you haven't got a join. Now I didn't do a very good join. Every window was no better, and I ended up getting some black silicone to just fill the little gap, because it just, as I went in, it opened up, even though I started off with oversized, and then it was too big and it went undersized, and I never got that right. There you go, just putting it in, pushing the last little bits in. There, going around with the mallet, giving it a tap. Wow, you don't know how much of a joyous occasion it was when we got that bit done. You go into the final tap. Hurrah! Jobs are good. So, rubber fit windows, they're a pig, but you get good openings. You can see the size of that opening there. I'll slide it right across and half the windows open up. Can't get that on bonded windows on my van, and you might not on theirs. Look, pretty smart, eh? I bought these, as I said, at Leisure Van Windows. They're in the resource library. Very good company to deal with. The guy's there is a bit of an enthusiast, and he would fit them for you if you took them up there. But he was a long way away from me, and he was useful to get some tips off the phone. Be prepared for a fight if you're going to put them in, though. But looking smart, and yeah, I'm glad I went for them.
So, Chapter 8, Windows. Nothing really to say on that. Yep, I had a struggle fitting that old style window with the seals around the outside. I actually subsequently discovered that that's an issue with the Renault Masters on that Mark II, because they don't have a flat panel, it's a shape panel. I found someone else who had the exact same issue. When they done it on a different van, it's no problem. I personally like the look of the bonded windows better. I don't like the look of the all-in-one windows. But with the Renault Master, I couldn't get very big openings with the bonded windows, so that's when I went with the traditional rubber seal type. But no real news on that one.